If you watched part one of the video, you know the heartbreaking story of all the challenges that our client was going through when claiming points for foreign work experience. Now, in this part two video, myself, Alana Weber, and Corey Weber, both are CSCs, we're going to discuss what documents you actually need to show when proving your foreign work experience for express entry application. All right, Corey. So where do we start here? Tell me, what is the number one document that I need to be worried about if I'm in express entry pool right now?
Yeah, the number one document you need to prove your foreign work experience is that work experience letter. So your foreign work experience letter. And people just think a lot of times people don't think like what they need to provide is just some letter. It doesn't have to have too much information, just any letter on the letterhead from their employer. But that's not true. It has to meet the requirements of IRCC, which is it has to have all of the information that's required, which is your tenure there, how long you've worked there, your job title, your wage, your salary plus benefits, everything needs to be there, as well as the job duties, matching the NOC code, not copy and pasted from the NOC code, but matching the NOC code. So you need to have your job duties. A lot of times we get a person who says, "Yes, I have everything," and they show me the employment document, and there's no job duties on the letter at all. And unfortunately, that is a requirement from IRCC. So that's the first and foremost thing is the properly formatted on the company letterhead document signed by the supervisor or HR for your foreign employment with all the required elements.
Another one thing that I see all the time is that missing hours per week. And people
Hmm.
don't think it's important. It's a small detail that may be missed, but like it has to actually say that he or she has been working or was working 40 hours per week or 30 hours per week or whatever the number is.
Hmm.
A lot of times I just see when it's mentioned he or she has been working full time. Well, there are hours, it says full time. No, but we need like actual
Yeah,
digits, an actual
exactly. Well,
number.
full time to IRCC is 30 hours a week times 52 weeks a year, which is 1,560 hours in a year. That's what IRCC considers full time. But you might work 40 hours, or you might work 37.5, or you might work 44. But so it needs to be put in properly, right? Some other companies might consider full time, 25, which IRCC would say, no, that's not full time. That's part time, right? So yeah, it has to be the actual number of hours.
Yeah, I actually see opposite a lot when the company considers the job part-time, 30 hours per week, but it's
Hmm.
actually full-time for immigration, right? So it's like different corporate policies, RCSC policies. We need an exact number. Another thing that what you mentioned about duties, so we see it all the time that duties are there, but they're not matching the NOC code in a aligned way.
Exactly.
The duties are there, but they don't really mean anything because it's really not clear of what person was doing, like as per the NOC code as the person is claiming.
Yeah, exactly. So for Canadian employment, we often see employers actually put the knock code in the letter, which makes sense because most Canadian employers understand what a knock code is. But a foreign employer probably shouldn't have the knock code listed in there because there's a good chance they don't know what knock codes are in your whichever home country, or that they don't know the Canadian standard. So with that being said, then the job duties become even more important because it has to clearly align with one knock code, and it can't be like a mix of 4, 5, 6 different knock codes, because you don't want IRCC guessing, right? Or thinking like you said it's knock code, this, and IRCC disagrees and says we don't think it's that one, we think it's this or something else, or it's just not covering, or you'll have like two bullet points that cover that knock code only, right? So it has to be like very closely aligned to the entire knock code, so you're covering all those job duties from the knock code, not just one or two, right? And again, don't put the knock. We shouldn't have a knock code included in that, but it needs to be matched closely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is that we see like the dates. People mess up the dates all the time in the
Yes.
sense of, not putting the exact date. Like for example, like June 2018 to April 2019. But like we need like actual dates, right? Or just not putting dates or not putting end dates. Sometimes people would have a beginning date, but actually not having end date. So how do I know that employment ended 2 weeks
Yeah.
after starting or 2 years after starting, right?
Exactly. Another thing to mention about that is, like, a lot of times people think that they need to get that letter, like, it should be should be from when they quit or whatever, when they were working there, right? It doesn't. It's perfectly, if you're no longer working there, it's perfectly fine to have a fresh date on it, right? And it could be from, like, this month saying
Well,
that,
that's what we do all the time, right?
but that's, yeah, but it needs to be then said that they were working from this date and they're no longer there, so it has to have an end date, right? So that's perfectly fine. But a lot of times I get clients who say, "Oh, but my letter, it was from when I was working there, so it doesn't have an end date on it." But I mean, then it should. You need to get it done right. It has to be done properly, right? So yeah, go back to them and get a new, fresh letter on it, and have an end start date and an end date. And it's perfectly fine if it's dated in 2025 instead, right? It just needs to be created in the way that says, like, so and so was working here from this date to that date, right? So that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
Exactly. And because of all of these, and we haven't even like listed all of the problems that we see every day, right? Like there's so many things that we see, like not properly positions listed, not properly promotions listed, not proper, so many things, not proper signatures, no proper letterhead. Like we can go on and on with this, but because there are so many things that IRCC is looking for, that is why in 99% of cases, when the client comes to us and say, I have an employment letter, 99% of cases we'll look at the employment letter and we say, no, we need you to go back to your employer and ask them to reissue it because you need this issue fixed, this issue fixed,
Yeah.
this issue fixed.
And this is part of the main problem that people are having, is that they might have some letter that was done 6 years ago from that employer, and they think they great. I have the letter. Um, it's 6 years old. That company doesn't exist anymore. Nobody that I knew works there anymore. And we say go back and ask to get it done, and they say I can't. Like, there's nobody that I used to work. My manager doesn't work there anymore. They're not willing to put the job duties on it, and people get stuck in this position where it was like, yeah, they thought they had the letter, but they didn't, and now it's even more difficult to get it fixed, right? So you don't want to be caught in that position. So make sure, when you are using that employment, it has to have all those things, and you need to try really hard to reach out to that former employer and express that, no matter if nobody you knew is working there anymore, you still need to come up with the letter, right, properly done. That's the key.
Yeah. And IRCC doesn't really care about excuses or circumstances
Exactly. Yeah.
or anything, or why they don't care why the company doesn't want to provide a letter, why maybe it's their policies. It doesn't matter. It's very simple. Is that you don't have a letter, you don't have the case. That's it.
That's right. It's exactly right. And not so obviously with the letter, that's only one part of it. There's a whole other
Yeah.
aspect here.
So tell me what else do we need to attach other than the letter? Obviously, we cannot just apply with one letter. We
No.
need to attach other documentation.
Yeah, obviously people try that and they have just the letter, and that's not going to be good enough. You also have to prove that you were paid for the work, right? That's main requirement. So, in Canada we have pay stubs. Sometimes people are unable to provide pay stubs, but there are other avenues. You can use bank statements, you can use income certificates from the company that is signed, like how many days you worked, how much you were paid, your pay periods, how it went down. Yeah, bank statements, if you can come up with some pay stubs, that's ideal. Tax forms from, like, government taxes, if you did the government taxes. So other proof that you were paid, right? And you need to come up with something. So it can't just be an employment letter alone. Also, those other supporting documents need to be included as well. And then, other things that any like when I talk to my clients, and they say, well, what, I have a lot of documents from them. What should I provide? I say, the more the better, right? Like, it never hurts to add everything. Do you have a original contract that you signed? Do you have any promotion letters that you received, like wage increases? Any other documents you have from them, like regarding your employment? So relieving letters, anything. Basically, what the more you can provide, the better, right? And again, like, I know it's a lot of work, and people are like, oh, but I didn't work there. It's been a while since I worked there. But you need to do it. You need to go back to them, and hopefully they understand, and hopefully they can help you with those documents.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to stress this one more time is that the biggest thing we always hear is that I have everything. And then when we actually look at what the person has, It's just not good, not enough. It's 100% refusal and it's just bad. So, not being harsh, but if you're watching this right now and you think that you have everything, I do want to actually challenge you in that, because maybe it's correct. Maybe you do have everything. We have maybe one client per year that actually has everything. But
Sure.
I want to challenge you to look into it, because it is your immigration, it is your PR. And if you cannot come up with those documents when you get invitation to apply, then you just don't have a case.
And that's the final point I would like to just add, that even if you don't have that ITA yet, and we're talking about employment that you did 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, it's perfectly fine to go work on those documents now, right? If you don't have, if you're sitting in the pool and you're at whatever points, you can gather those documents and get them done correctly now, so that when the ITA comes, you're prepared and you have it, and it's just going to be so much of a stress relief when you have those 60 days and you already have your foreign employment documents done. You're going to be so happy that you did prepare for it, right? Because you're going to be relaxed and you're going to be, easy breezy. It's when you have those 60 days and then you start working on the foreign documents, and it's day, 50, day 40, day 30. Now it's day 20. You're still waiting for employment documents, day 10. And like, what happens if it doesn't come? And it's day 59 and you need to submit that application, right? So I would just, like, yeah, caution people to go out and prepare in advance and get those documents done now for their foreign employment.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much. And if you guys have any questions or anything, you can find all of our contact details for all of our follow us on Instagram. The link is in description. You can stay in touch with us. And thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe.